In other news now, and after suffering a humiliating United Kingdom Prime Minister, Theresa May faced a heated defeat as Parliament debates a no-confidence motion against her. Now, an embattled May, who is facing hostilities from both the opposition and her own party, defended her Brexit deal, which had been rejected by the Parliament. May said that a no deal would mean disrespecting people's mandate on the Brexit deal. Listen in.
That he cannot ignore the fact that in the 2016 referendum, the people of this country voted to leave the European Union. And I believe that it is a duty, not just of government, but of Parliament, to ensure that we deliver on that. We will be speaking to parliamentarians in my own party, the DUP, across the House, about finding a way that secures the support of the House for the way forward. But I say to the honourable gentleman once again, a vote was taken in 2016, and I believe it is incumbent on this Parliament to deliver on that vote.
The leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, hit out at May, saying that she should provide an alternative to a no deal instead of being in denial mode.
This government has failed our country. It cannot govern, cannot command the support of most people facing the most important issue at the moment, which is Brexit. They failed again and lost the vote last night. Isn't it the case, Mr. Speaker, that with every other previous Prime Minister faced with a scale of defeat last night, they would have resigned and the country would be able to choose the government that they want?
Well, the House of Commons voted 432 to 202 against the divorce deal, with less than 2 months to go for the March 29 deadline, which is for Britain to withdraw from the European Union. The United Kingdom is now facing its deepest political crisis in almost half a century. The country has to figure out how or even whether it should exit the European Union in the first place. Britain has been part of the European Union since 1973.
The House has spoken and the government will listen. It is clear that the House does not support this deal, but tonight's vote tells us nothing about what it does support. Nothing about how or even if it intends to honour the decision the British people took in a referendum Parliament decided to hold. And people, particularly EU citizens who've made their home here, and UK citizens living in the EU, deserve clarity on these questions as soon as possible.
And well, it is the worst parliamentary defeat for a sitting government in 95 years. May's choices are limited due to the fact that she is facing her Conservative Party that does not have a majority in Parliament, and also because she has been facing opposition from within her own party. Possible scenarios for the UK include an attempted but probably doomed renegotiation with the European Union. Other options include extending the Article 50 process. The no-confidence motion might trigger a general election, and if Theresa May loses the vote, it might result in the collapse of the Conservative government. It may bring in a new Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the Remain protesters are also demanding a second Brexit referendum. And well, the Brexit crisis has also brought United Kingdom back to square one. Now, Britishers are feeling that only a second referendum of a reversal of the Brexit could salvage them from the continuing uncertainty that Britain is facing.
I think, yeah, second referendum, definitely. I think that's the way to do it. People should decide. In 2016, we didn't know about all those problems. And now we are aware of this, so we should make another final decision as to stay or leave.
I don't think a general election would be a very good idea for us at the moment, but I also don't think that we can continue as we currently are with no real alternatives. And so probably the best thing to do is throw everything away and start again.
To say, I hope that Theresa May carries on in her position. I think she's the person to sort it out. It's all very well criticising her, but I think who would do better? I don't think Jeremy Corbyn would do, for certain.
And Mandy Clark, our bureau chief, is joining us now from London for the very latest on that heated exchange in Parliament. Once again, Mandy, well, another day, but the same story. And now, I mean, people on the streets are basically saying, we're fed up of this uncertainty, come up with a solution, whatever it is.
Yeah, certainly. The public does want a solution, but the problem is the public is still split on both sides. So you hear those Remainers who want that second referendum. Now, the thinking is that they believe they've convinced enough people to change their mind, and a new referendum would mean that people would vote to remain in the European Union. Now, that doesn't really jive with the polls. The latest polls show that if you could vote again, people would probably vote the same way. So that might not be the solution that the Remainers are hoping for. And the Brexiteers, on the other hand, don't care if there is a no-deal situation. That's the one where it's going to really damage Britain's economy if they can't find a deal before that deadline. They just want to leave the European Union. So both want a certainty, but they just want very different outcomes.
Right. And in fact, Mandy, today in Parliament, Jeremy Corbyn said that any other leader in Theresa May's position would have stepped down. So far, the fact that her own party members have also backed, what happened yesterday, the motion moved by the Labour Party, the fact is that she doesn't have support of her own conservative lawmakers is reason enough for her to step down and let somebody else make the decisions now.
Well, that's certainly Jeremy Corbyn's point of view. And it's true. In normal circumstances, any other prime minister would step down. But this is not normal circumstances. We are going to see that no confidence vote. If her party truly didn't back her, then she would lose that no confidence vote. But it seems that her party certainly backs her as a leader as at the minute to get Brexit through, but they didn't back her deal, and that's why they voted her down. When it comes to this no confidence vote, which is happening later today, Labour is certainly going to vote no confidence, but the Conservative Party, by and large, are going to back her, and so will the DUP. So in all likelihood, she will win that vote. There won't likely be any more fresh elections. But the path forward for Brexit is still very unclear because she needs a deal rather than the no-deal scenario, which is the one that everyone's worried about.
Right. So, Mandy, very quickly then, she will win the no-confidence vote, but she hasn't won the fact that this Brexit deal is okay with either side, the opposition or the government. So in that scenario, what is the possibility for her going forward? Because she has not been able to bring together any consensus on this, and the European Union has clearly come up with certain red lines that Britain cannot really cross when it comes to the Brexit deal.
And that's her biggest problem. She certainly knows what the Parliament doesn't want. They didn't want her deal. They hated the backstop. They made that abundantly clear last night. But they haven't explained what deal they would agree. And she'll need cross-party support. She'll need Labour to say what deal would suit them. She needs her own Conservative Party to say what deal would suit them. So she can go to the European Union and say, this, if I could guarantee X, Y, and Z in a deal, then I can get it passed through Parliament. Right now, the difficulty she faces, she could renegotiate another deal, but it could still be passed through Parliament if it isn't clear and if she doesn't have that cross-party support of exactly what they want in that deal. So she has a very difficult road ahead to try and get another deal. The only other two options is delay Brexit, which she is loath to do. She said over 70 times in Parliament that she will not delay it. Or it's the no-deal scenario where they crash out of the EU without a deal, and that will damage Britain's economy enormously.
Absolutely, Mandy. Thanks very much indeed for joining us with the latest updates there. Now, of course, a whole host of leaders have also reacted to the historic defeat, beginning with the man who started it all. Well, David Cameron, the former UK Prime Minister, held the referendum that began the Brexit process. He resigned soon after the UK voted to leave the European Union, and Theresa May inherited the Brexit burden. Now, Cameron says he is hopeful that Theresa May will survive the no-confidence vote tonight.
She wins her vote tonight, I'm sure she will, and as I said, I hope then that Parliament can come together and find an alternative partnership agreement with the European Union. That's the right way forward. That's what her deal was about last night, and she has my support as she does this.
Do you regret calling the referendum?
I don't regret calling the referendum. It was a promise I made 2 years before the 2015 general election. It was included in a manifesto. It was legislated for in Parliament. I think 6 out of 7 members of Parliament of all parties voted for that referendum. Obviously, I regret that we lost that referendum. I deeply regret that. I was leading the campaign to stay in the European Union. And obviously I regret the difficulties and the problems that we've been having trying to implement the result of that referendum. But I don't think it's going to be helped by me giving a running commentary. I support the Prime Minister. I support her aim to have a partnership deal with Europe. That's what needs to be put in place. That's what Parliament needs to try and deliver now. And she has my support as she tries to do that.
And the Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said that Theresa May should suspend the Brexit process. The Scottish leader said that Theresa May must hold a second referendum. And the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, tweeted, and I quote, "If a deal is impossible and no one wants no deal, then who will finally have the courage to say that the only positive solution is unquote." So that, of course, is Donald Tusk there speaking about what he thinks should be a positive solution here. And well, the chief Brexit negotiator of the European Union too echoed the stand, and Michael Barnier said that the bloc is determined to reach a deal, but Theresa May must make her intentions clear.
Now it's time for the UK to tell us the next steps. And on our side, we will remain united and determined to reach a deal.
And the French President Emmanuel Macron said that Britain would be the first loser if it left the European Union without a deal. Macron said that he expects Britain to eventually ask for more time to renegotiate the deal.
Je vais vous dire comment je vois les choses. Première option, ils vont vers le no deal. Donc ils disent il n'y a pas d'accord. Ça fait peur à tout le monde. Les premiers perdants de ça, ce sont les Britanniques. Donc dans ce contexte-là, ils vont devoir, sans qu'il y ait de période de transition, de toute façon renégocier une relation future. Je peux vous dire là très solennellement, parce que je l'ai toujours fait, que dans le cadre de cette relation future, les intérêts de la pêche seront défendus.
The German Chancellor Angela Merkel says that she is waiting for the British Prime Minister's next move before the German Parliament comes with a solution over the deal.
Ich bedauere sehr, dass gestern Abend das britische Unterhaus dem Abkommen zum Austritt Großbritanniens eine Absage erteilt hat. Wir glauben, dass es jetzt an der britischen Seite ist, und die Premierministerin hat das ja auch angekündigt, uns zu sagen, wie es weitergeht. Wir wollen den Schaden, und es wird in jedem Falle einen Schaden geben durch den Austritt Großbritanniens, so klein wie möglich halten. Deshalb werden wir natürlich versuchen, eine geordnete Lösung weiter zu finden. Aber wir sind auch vorbereitet, dass es eine solche geordnete Lösung nicht gibt. Deshalb werden wir morgen im Deutschen Bundestag ja auch die Beratungen haben zu den von der Bundesregierung vorgelegten Gesetzen, die dann gelten würden, wenn es kein Abkommen mit Großbritannien über den Austritt gibt. Wir haben noch Zeit zu verhandeln, aber wir warten jetzt auf das, was die britische Premierministerin auch vorschlägt.
And well, let's also take a quick look at how the British media has reacted to the vote. Some papers have made blistering attacks on the Prime Minister, like calling the Prime Minister a dodo, while others have been kinder. Now, the front page of The Sun carries a cartoon of the British Prime Minister Theresa May being portrayed as a dodo. It comes with the headline that reads, "Brexit extinct." And the Daily Mirror headline was blistering, saying, "No deal, no hope, no clue, no confidence." It also reports how Jeremy Corbyn is now eyeing 10 Downing Street with a no confidence motion. So that you have the Daily Mirror there saying no deal, no hope, no clue and no confidence. And well, the Daily Mail likened Theresa May's fight for the Brexit deal to a fight for her life. And my colleague Mandy Clark has one.
It has really divided. You know, it's divided the newspapers. The newspapers here are split left and right. It's divided the country, and the newspapers really run along those lines. We're seeing that reaction. The Sun, which is a tabloid paper, was anti-Brexit. They have called her deal dead as a dodo. Don't know if you can see that there, but they've made Theresa May in the shape of a dodo bird that's obviously extinct. Right. That's how they make her deal. Then there's the Daily Mail, which is very pro-Brexit. They had supported Theresa May's deal. They are carrying the story, but it's fighting for her life. They really see this as the end times for Theresa May. She has to pull out a miracle if she wants to continue her political career and save Brexit. Then in the more kind of grown-up broadsheets. We're seeing the Daily Telegraph, which is a conservative paper that supports it. They are really, but they are very pro-Brexit, and they call it a complete humiliation. And finally, the Times, which is probably the most balanced, they had the jubilant crowds after the vote. So it's a mixed spread how the papers are reacting, but really it's the only story that's happening today in the UK.
Well, pretty blistering attacks there on Theresa May. So what next for the United Kingdom, and what will be the next move for Theresa May? Well, that's our next report.
All eyes are now on today's no-confidence motion. If May survives the no-confidence motion, then she will present Parliament with a modified Brexit plan on Monday. However, there is no guarantee that Parliament will accept any new deal from May. If a new version of the deal too is rejected, then Britain will be up for a no-deal Brexit. Now, if May loses the no-confidence motion, then she will have to quit and pay way to the formation of an alternative government. In case there is no clear alternative government, then the Speaker would have to see whether any side can win a no-confidence vote within 14 days. If a side manages to prove its majority, then it will perhaps continue with Brexit with some changes to the deal. If no government is able to prove its majority within 14 days, then Britain will head to general elections.